I'm going to continue, or not the vertical, the horizontal stream
Yeah,
has
the horizontal is
has,
dead.
but anyway,
I
getting
don't know
back to this
why that
woman.
is, but like, because Restream is
Well, just
still streaming,
interesting. Huh. Well,
and
maybe it
it
just
would be sending
was too long.
to. Yeah, I mean it is going, but maybe it created a new instance. I bet.
Yeah, maybe
So
it
you'll have
created
to
a
go
new
look
instance.
and see if there's a new instance.
All right. Well, I will, but first I'm going to deal with
No,
this.
it did. I'm looking at it. It did.
Yeah, if you could just pop the link in our chat.
Yeah.
All right. So she's arguing, first of all, that the phenomena doesn't exist. But if it does exist, which she acknowledges it does, then patriarchy is to blame for it. And of course, that means that short men are to blame for their own oppression, right? So women are absolved of responsibility for wanting these things, even though they're primarily the ones who enforce this on men. In fact, they're 100% the ones who force this on men because they're the ones who are choosing not to date short men. And then she says, these patriarchal standards also hurt women, so let's look at that. She's got it. She's got the whole thing covered, guys. You can't feel upset about this, even though technically you should be able to feel upset about it because she's comparing it to something that no doubt she feels women have the right to feel upset about, which is sizeism. But I'm guessing that somehow we're going to land on you don't have the right as men to talk about it, feel upset about it, bring it up, or expect women to change.
I've heard countless times. I've always found it interesting that that argument never goes both ways. It's okay for men to only be attracted to women who wear a size 2, but it's reverse sexism, which isn't a thing, for women to prefer men 6 feet or taller.
Yes, but men aren't, like, first of all, you're exaggerating. 120 pounds of size 2. I'm sure there are men out there who will not date women smaller than that. I'm sure. But to take a page from your own book, and also, is she telling a bit on herself that she said she's experienced this? But to take a page from your own book, if I look around myself, I don't see any man with a woman who's like 120 pounds. Like, when we go down to the States, 120 pounds is pretty rare. In Canada, it's not as rare, but it's still fairly rare. So most men aren't dating women who are 120 pounds, right? I don't think they're necessarily going on Tinder and saying 120 pounds or less, please. And also, if you look at how men rate women in terms of attractive, it's a nice normal bell curve. Some women are unattractive, some women are extremely attractive, most women are in the middle. How women rate men on a bell is nowhere near a bell curve. Pretty much all men are ugly, according to women. There's a big difference there. Anyway, well, how is it that some men being mean about weight, and having a natural preference, and yet somehow it's not men that's causing the world that there's no longer relationship formations, men's preferences. But that means that no, we can't ever talk about this. And then the other thing is that weight is something that can change. Height is really difficult to change. But I mean, I really doubt that men are as extreme as she's describing. And because men aren't rejecting women in the way that women are rejecting men. Patently.
You can't have it both ways, boys. Frankly, I think it's
Can you? Because it seems like you're trying.
all ridiculous and superficial as hell. Yes, all of it. I think it's insane that
Oh, she's floating above all of us, friends.
so many men won't look past a woman's weight, and I'm staggered that height could be a deal breaker.
Height is not something that reflects any aspect of character. To a degree, weight does. Like, you do have to apply some discipline in your life to avoid becoming hugely overweight.
For anyone. Who cares if he's 5 feet 6 inches or 6 feet 5 inches? I can't think of anything less important about a man than how far his head is from the ground.
And yet evolutionarily, that was a very critical thing.
But it's up to us to unwind this.
Yeah, but ultimately, okay, she's right. People have preferences, fine. The real problem is all of the excuse making, all of the dodging of accountability. Oh, well, it's like listening to a lawyer arguing in the alternative. Like, no, women don't have this preference, but arguing in the alternative, if they do, it's fine because men have a preference for skinny women, which is bad, but that makes the badness of men's preference for skinny women makes women's preference for taller men fine. Not bad, because that you would think that you're making the relationship, then they both are bad. No, that makes it good because women should stick it to the patriarchy by having their own preferences. So men should feel bad for wanting thin women, and women should be free to want tall men, and that's fine, and that's good. It's sticking it to patriarchy, but also it's patriarchal standards that they want tall men, right? They want tall men because of patriarchy. So men are to blame for something that women have complete control over. Let's see. I don't think there was much left, but we'll go to the end just for consistency.
We have to start with ourselves, deprogramming from patriarchal standards and norms. We have to learn how to step out of the system, including learning how to detach from feelings of shame or judgment over other people's choices to align with patriarchy. And most of all, we have to learn to see the people and not the standards.
Whoa, that's interesting. We have to, I guess, allow women to have these patriarchal standards and not judge them for it. Oh, good Lord. This is all just evading accountability. All right, we're almost done. Then we'll go to the next one, which is an astounding one, but it's shorter.
We must stretch our definitions of what it means for someone to be masculine or feminine and what qualities and features are actually attractive to us. Up until now, patriarchy has been driving this bus. It's time to take that wheel. Ease up on the list of standards.
Okay, so how?
Date the woman with the abundant thighs. Date the man who's 2 inches shorter. Considering how unhappy and worthless patriarchal standards make us feel, why wouldn't we want to break free?
Okay, and that's the end. Patriarchy's to blame, yo. Even though it's women doing the rejecting. Oh, good Lord. And honestly, when it appeared that men had apparently too strict standards for women, I remember all of the movements that challenged that and shamed men for being lookist, ageist, fat-phobic, transphobic, whatever. All of the movements that shame men for all of that. But when it comes to something that affects men, the most important thing is that we blame men for it. We don't shame the women who support the so-called patriarchal standards, and we blame men again. And also, women are not accountable. And this is the most frustrating thing. Okay. So we just continue on. And somehow, without actually challenging it, things change. This is such nebulous bullshit. Like, I want actionables. If you're going to propose there's this great evil, how do we kill it? Do we throw a ring into a volcano? Do we lay siege to a castle? Do we build something? Do we destroy something? Do we write something? Like, what are the actions? And there's never specified. So we're going to change all this by doing fucking nothing, except don't shame the women who like tall men. Just let them enjoy their patriarchal standards without shame. Oh, great grief. All right, so let me take a look at the special chat and see what you guys are saying. Guy Jackson, I wonder if women not being attracted to men is also patriarchy. What I've noticed reading these things is that patriarchy is always what it needs to be to excuse whatever women want or are doing in the moment, including abusing men, sexually assaulting men, and rejecting short men. I mean, it's a multi-use tool if you think about it. All right, I'm gonna move this over to the other one before I forget, and we have another period of complete silence. And before I start it up, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Send me a tip and whatever comment you want to send. It's the best way to do it. Please do that. It's been really quiet, guys. Yeah, if you're interested in a meetup in Calgary, send something to Badger at feedthebadger.com. Sorry, I can't remember things. My brain doesn't work that way. All right. So actually, you know what? I'm going to share this one because I think you guys would get a kick out of it. This is some random stuff from my bag of random stuff. All right. So this is from Why Women Get L's, and it's apparently in a non-green green text. So take that with a grain of salt. So this is a woman, right? And she is making a confession. Yes, I know I will be insulted for this, and I hate myself too. Here's my story. Be me, 5'2" feminine. 4 months ago, land a new boyfriend. Nice, charming, more than decent job. Suddenly, when speaking with a couple of besties of mine, the topic of male height showed up. Feminine, your new boyfriend is so nice. Too bad he's a little short, 5'10". Both their boyfriends are well above 6'2". Initially, I don't give a fuck about that stuff. But week after week, by hanging around together, I start noticing that my man is indeed much shorter than my friends. They tower over him, and my besties look very proud of that. Start having weird dreams of either my boyfriend becoming suddenly taller or stalking taller men. Then starting ironically losing sexual desire to him, especially as long as he's standing still. Then starting some mental breakdown when in heels because I have the impression our heights are too similar. I know it's fucking pathetic in normie woman tier for caring this much about height imbalance, but knowing it doesn't stop the normie side of my brain to care. How do I fix my new little obsession? So I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. Of course, my answer is to get rid of your friends. What a fucking bunch of passive-aggressive relationship sabotage right there. If it's true, and that might not be true, but it's how women sabotage relationships, sabotage their friends' relationships. And honestly, if this person is really real, or if anybody out there is having the same problem, focus on the reason why you chose your partner. Right? Don't focus on what they have. Focus on what you have. Okay, let's start this next one. This is another doozy, by the way, and it sort of segues well into focus on what you have with your partner because it's doing the exact opposite.
Why many women cheat not to leave but to stay.
There you go, guys. I'm gonna let that sink in. Just let it percolate through the percolation pores of the earth into the folds of your brain. Maybe we should listen to it again. Good grief. Did you hear that, Brian?
Yes, of course. Whatever it takes to
Why-
excuse whatever.
Yeah.
Why many women cheat not to leave but to stay.
Okay, so this piece, and it's from Psychology Today. The last one is from a Medium article. It was, it was fairly liked as these kinds of Medium articles are. This one is from Psychology Today.
Many women who cheat aren't looking to leave. In fact, they're cheating to stay. By Alicia M. Walker, PhD, published Psychology Today. The basics. The challenges of infidelity. Take our relationship satisfaction test. Find counseling near me. Key points. Some women cheat not to leave their marriages but to stay when sex conversations stall and needs go unmet. Research shows women's desire fades in long-term.
Okay. So just so you know, Brian, it's not switching again. I'm guessing it's because of the
Oh yeah,
technical
hold on.
difficulties.
Yeah, I think it just restarted the advanced scene switcher. I gotta turn that back on.
Okay, that's
Hold on a
fine.
second. That should be good. Go ahead and try it.
All right, I'll give that a go.
Ooh.
relationships, but sparks back to life with novelty. Many see affairs as an infidelity workaround, a last resort to stay in their marriage when all else fails. Infidelity is almost always framed as a betrayal, a dagger to the heart of a marriage. But what if, for some women, cheating is actually the thing keeping their marriage together?
Okay. Okay. Psychology Today, everyone. Boy. The one of the premier outlets for understanding the self. And this is what we're getting from it. No harm can come from this. Oh my God. And notice once again, they're trying to have it both ways. Okay. They are blaming the man because the man is, something is wrong in the relationship. And, that means code for the man is to blame. Right. And then they're also actually appealing to an evolutionary thing, or I'm not actually, I guess it would be evolutionary, like the 7-year itch or the lack of novelty in a relationship causing women to want to leave it to find novelty, some crap like that. So it's, yeah, she wants to have it both ways. Men are to blame, but also evolution. It's a little bit different than the previous one, which was more like you can't blame women because of patriarchy, but also women get judged for being fat, therefore they should be able to judge men for being tall. It's justified that they judge men for being tall. It's tit for tat. It is retributive judgment. Retributive judgment.
My research on women who cheat flips the script on everything we assume about affairs. But let's be clear, this is not an endorsement of infidelity. Cheating is a messy, imperfect solution, a desperate workaround. These women aren't celebrating their affairs. They are making the best of a bad situation, often landing in sexless marriages where conversations about their needs had gone nowhere. The women I interviewed weren't.
Okay, so we're setting up the men are to blame angle, of course. Individual men are to blame, right?
Looking for a way out. They loved their spouses, valued their families, and had no interest in blowing up their lives. But they were trapped, feeling frustrated, unfulfilled, and out of options.
No interest in blowing up their lives. And everything is them, them. Right? Somehow they're there because they're cheating because they don't want to leave their partner. And it's an act of love. And yet all of their considerations are selfish. Wouldn't it be nice to have the benefits of fidelity, but also the excitement of infidelity? How can you deny women that? Oh man, this is really sinister. So somehow they're doing their partners a favor. And this is actually an appeal to how rough divorce is on men. As I've said in the past, there is no fault divorce for men. Divorce, modern divorce, is man at fault divorce. And because it's so punitive, there's now an argument here that women cheating instead of divorcing the man is them doing him a favor. Don't you feel grateful? Okay, so this should be sharing. It
Your
doesn't seem to be
video,
showing.
your video stopped sharing. I don't know what happened there.
What the
It's
heck?
still, you gotta like change your thing again.
Okay, this is completely beyond. All right, so let me go
just
back.
share it over again. I'll grab the links when you're ready. I'm watching.
Yeah, was
Okay.
there some empty air? Should I go back?
No, I don't know how long it's been going on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll restart it. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't hear any. No, they can't hear
We
that.
don't hear it.
No, because it's not being shared. I don't know why. Like I see it there and I hear it. Let me just drop the link in again and see if that does it. I just dropped the link in again. So.
What the heck? Because it's probably a Video Ninja thing, eh?
Maybe. Let me just hold on a second. I gotta. turn this off.
Sorry, guys, this is pretty benighted. I'm guessing that it's an element of it is just moving over to the new system. Okay, so feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us messages. Chorizo says accountability is kryptonite to men.
All right, so
accountability for what?
Apparently, this is not being shared, even though I can see it here. So unshare it and then share it again. Stop sharing it and share it again. It might be a Video Ninja thing. Because I have like my system is mostly figured out. I just made some gains. Yeah, this might work. Let me just. Are you sharing the audio and everything like you're supposed to?
Yep, and everything should be shared.
Like the same way and all that? Okay.
Yep.
All right, let's just do it again. Wait. Don't do it yet.
Oh, sorry.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not being.
I'm gonna look at special chat.
Yeah, it's not being shared. Usually the sign of that is that like I don't know why, but I mean, it's not showing up in the stream.
Video Ninja.
Yeah, it's so like completely remove it. Remember, you got to put it in the right browser because like this doesn't play nice with other browsers. And yeah, just like close it out completely and then bring it back up.
Okay. I'm gonna have to reopen the file.
Yep. Yeah, just do it. Just do it over.
You're just gonna take a moment here, guys.
Yep.
So when somebody like Chorizo says men are allergic to accountability, what the hell does that mean? What accountability are they allergic to here?
Kryptonite to men. Yeah. Which men?
Yeah.
I mean,
but here's
like if men are, well, you're gonna have to give some examples of men not like being allergic to.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. Let's try. Let's see. I don't know. It doesn't look promising.
It feels like when they say of that particular ideological viewpoint, when they say men are allergic to accountability, what they mean is that men are not taking accountability for women's actions, which if you think about it is 100% the attitude towards women under coverture, which is the classic patriarchal example in the feminist rogues gallery of the past. So shouldn't you be more careful about not ascribing accountability to women, since in the past it was assumed that men were responsible for women's actions? Like that was the patriarchal standard? Okay, where are we?
I don't see. Yeah, it's not coming up still.
It's not coming up.
All right, maybe I should just do it.
Okay.
All right, just let me just grab it off of Discord.
About a minute and a half in.
Yeah. I'll just give me a second here.
This has been one hell of a rough stream.
Is it Kim or Alice?
It's I think it's Alice. Let me just I actually don't know at this point. It's the dark-haired one.
It's Kim.
The dark-skinned one.
All right, let me just share this.
We're fixing this. We're getting it ready.
Well,
we're doing it.
And then I'll just
we must end at
all right,
that
there it goes.
Egregious.
So, what I'll do is I'll just play the video, and then when you decide you want to talk, you said you're a minute and a half in, and it's just a 7 minute long.
But they were trapped.
Okay, so you guys should be able to hear this now. Okay, I'm just gonna play the video, and when you start talking, I'll pause it.
Gotcha.
Feeling frustrated, unfulfilled, and out of options. Rather than torching their marriages, they found a workaround. They avoided a messy, heartbreaking divorce by engaging in a carefully managed, highly strategic affair to meet their needs without losing what they valued most. I call it the infidelity workaround, because for them, that's exactly what it was, a way to stay. Why monogamy feels impossible for some women. We like to think of monogamy as the gold standard, the default setting for fulfilling relationships. But for many women, it slowly suffocates their sexual desire, or leaves them in marriages where sex disappears altogether, whether they want it to or not. The assumption has always been that men have the higher sex drive, but research tells a different story. Studies show that in long-term relationships, it is women's sexual desire that tanks the hardest, but not because their libidos are naturally lower. Familiarity, routine.
All right. So is it because their partners are subpar and not fulfilling their needs, or just because, for whatever reason, and I suppose this excuses them actually acting upon it, women get bored easier? Women aren't actually faithful. They start to get bored and want something different, right? So which is it? Like, because the real issue here is, again, well, I mean, I guess it could be both. But if it is women just getting bored, is that fair to men to have to accommodate that? Because this is what the argument is. All right, let's keep going.
The mental load of managing a household and shifting dynamics all squeeze the air out of their sexual desire. Sometimes women end up in sexless marriages they never signed up for. They want change, but despite their efforts, nothing shifts. So after years of rejection or unmet needs, they start looking for alternatives. At the same time,
I cannot imagine the article arguing the reverse. Can you, Brian? In Psychology Today? Due to the pressures of provision, men lose interest in their partners and have to find something else to, and the women should feel grateful because the men haven't decided to implode their relationship instead. Take half the women's money and the kids. Okay. Interesting. All right, let's keep going.
Research shows that while their desire for a long-term partner dwindles, women often experience a surge in sexual interest when something new enters the picture. So, it's not that they lose interest in sex. It's that their current situation isn't lighting their fire. And sometimes resentment and the sheer exhaustion of carrying the mental and emotional load of a household smothers that flame entirely. And so, they start looking for alternatives. But let's be clear.
Stop. So now women have an excuse. Well, but how do you know that it's not just some kind of thing that women do, that they just lose interest in their partner more for no fault of their partner? They get bored easier in the relationship. But now it's because of the emotional load. Boy, they're going to be putting a hell of a lot of emotional load on their male partner by cheating, don't you think? Or he's going to have to allow this? Or is this is not part of the emotional load? Everything that women put on men to tolerate, it's not considered within the emotional load. Only things that women want to do, but shouldn't have to, and they don't actually really have to because nobody's asking them to do it. That's part of the emotional load. So convenient. Let's keep going.
It wasn't about romance. They weren't daydreaming about falling in love with some starry-eyed Romeo. No one was writing love letters or whispering sweet nothings. They weren't looking for connection. They were looking for climaxes, not validation, not butterflies, not someone to gaze into their eyes and tell them they were beautiful, just orgasms. Full stop. They weren't searching for Prince Charming. They already had one at home. What they needed was someone to meet a specific,
wait a second. So this Prince Charming, you're now trying to say, oh, they love their husband so much. They loved him so much they had to cheat so they wouldn't have to leave him. All right, but you originally said that they're cheating because he's not fulfilling their needs. He's like they're doing more than their fair share of housework and emotional labor. The relationship is sexless. So now what? Now it's Prince Charming? It just everything, every single sentence does not serve the needs of logic or reason or actual argumentation. It only serves justifying the action in the next 5 seconds. Such sophistry. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
Need. Nothing more, nothing less. And they weren't naive either. As one woman put it, look, this guy gives me orgasms, but he's not even in the same league as my husband. If my husband didn't have Ed, these guys wouldn't stand a chance.
It's erectile
Cheating to stay in a
difficulty.
marriage? For these women, an affair wasn't about replacing their spouse. It was about filling a gap. They had tried to communicate their needs, but
No
nothing
pun intended.
changed. Rather than stewing in frustration or resentment, they found
This is Prince Charming, is it? This making you stew in for resentment and not listening to your needs. Okay. Continue, Brian.
that an affair allowed them to meet their needs elsewhere, easing tension at home and helping them stay in their marriages. Instead of growing distant or bitter, they felt more patient, engaged, and even affectionate in their day-to-day lives. They weren't looking for the one. They were looking for Mr. Now and Then. Love? Feelings? Emotional entanglements? Absolutely not. The pragmatism of women's infidelity. I found that these women designed their affairs with military precision, strict rules, clear boundaries, and zero risk of anyone catching feelings. But let's talk
Really?
about another practice.
Stephen the husband? This is sick. Does he get a say at all? Even perfunctory say over this? Nobody's gonna catch feelings, guys. I guess what these women intend is what is going to happen in reality. The guys that they're having sex with, the women have arranged it so that to make sure that these guys don't catch feelings. Or does she mean that the woman isn't going to catch feelings? Because that's all that matters. All right, let's keep going.
Practical move these women made, not putting all their eggs in one basket. Many women maintained multiple affair partners at once. Not because they were greedy, but because they'd already learned from marriage that relying on just one man for everything was a risky bet. So, they kept a roster or herd of partners to ensure they always had options. One woman put it best, "Why would I expect one affair partner to meet all my needs when my husband couldn't?" It was a backup system, not a romance. They weren't juggling relationships, they were managing logistics. Are we setting ourselves up for failure? This research forces us to ask some uncomfortable questions about how we approach relationships, starting before we even say, I do. Why aren't we talking about sexual expectations before marriage? We spend months planning a wedding, but often skip the
Okay,
part
all
where we
right.
discuss what we need sexually to.
But you just indicated that this is something that evolved and changed in the relationship. How are you supposed to discuss it before it happens? Okay, how much is left? Do you see that? About a minute?
About a
Okay,
minute.
I'm just, before we continue, I just want to point out that people say that I am radicalizing men. I'm radicalizing men, and men's rights activists are radicalizing men. Are we really the ones radicalizing men, or is content like this put out in something like American or Psychology Today what women are actually saying and expecting about their lives and justifying about their actions? Is that what's radicalizing men? Is being disenfranchised as a short man and then blamed for being responsible for the patriarchal expectations of masculinity, perhaps that might be radicalizing men. And then this incredible exercise in narcissistic solipsism that we are listening to now. Good golly, Miss Molly. All right, let's finish it.
Stay happy in the long run. Why do we assume desire stays the same over time? We expect everything else in marriage to evolve. Why not our sexual needs and expectations? Why is just talk to your partner treated as a fix-all? Many of these women did communicate their needs. The problem wasn't silence. It was being unheard. That what happens when one partner wants sex and the other doesn't? We rarely ask what realistic options exist when sexual needs go unmet in long-term relationships. Maybe women's sexuality is a whole lot more complex and pragmatic than we've been led to believe. These women weren't looking to betray their husbands. They were
God
looking for a
damn,
way
this
to
is
stay.
written by AI. I think, or the woman excessively leaned on AI for writing this because it's just repeating shit. All right, but then again, come to think of it, that doesn't make it much difference than the usual feminist drivel that we've read over the years, does it? Good Lord, I hope it's over quick. Come on, let's finish it.
But when years of unmet needs and unheard conversations pile up, they ask themselves, what realistic choices are left? And they found no real answers. Instead of treating every episode of infidelity as a scandal or moral failing, maybe we should be asking a different question. How can marriages evolve to actually meet both partners' needs before one or the other partner starts looking outside of it to meet their needs?
Okay, I think that's the end. And Chirizo is saying, sadly, most wives are unheard. Well, go let your wife have sex with a tall, muscular, confident man, Chirizo, and stop hanging around this channel. Go get yourself a cuck chair. Like, most wives are unheard. But the thing is that it tries to have it multiple ways. It finds that women are more likely to get bored in a relationship, which is why they want to sow their oats afield. And then it also says, but it's the men who are doing it to them. Oh, good grief. Most wives feel unheard in a relationship. I don't think that's true. Right? I remember a while back I found a study that men actually understand their wives better than their wives understand their husbands. And then, of course, when there's conflict, men feel more stress, most likely because they are more responsible for the relationship outcome, or maybe they feel more responsible, or they're expected to take more responsibility for any kind of conflict in the relationship. They're going to be expected to change. And Chorizo says, because men ignore their wives' needs or desires. Okay, Chorizo, do you want your wife to cheat on you? Is that the bargain you're making? Okay? If your wife feels unfulfilled or bored, she's free to find someone else to solve that for her without telling you. And of course, that doesn't violate their precious informed consent, feminist precious informed consent on the part of the partner being cheated on. Okay. Ugh. All right. So here's another little bit from my little grab bag. This doesn't require sound. Oh, right. It might not work. I just thought I would throw it out there. Apparently, in France, they are now arresting people for masculinism, which is seeing that, or at least they're starting to regard masculinism as a form of terrorism, which is feeling that men are superior to women. Well, men are certainly held to a superior standard of accountability, that's for sure. Here, I can try sharing this. Maybe it'll work this time. Did it work? Brian? All right, well, I'll just read it out to you. I'm not sure.
Yes,
Whenever.
Yeah, I think it will. Let me just grab it and drop it in.
Okay,
the thing.
great.
Hold on.
Okay. All right, so this is from Disclosed TV. Just in, French anti-terrorism task force targets incels for promoting masculinism and advocating for outmoded gender roles. So that's in essence men being protectors and providers, and women being protected and provided for, which is really interesting because I think there's a whole group of people who will judge men very harshly for not protecting and providing for their women. But if men turn around and say, hey, that's a man's role, I guess they're a terrorist now. You know, this world is just hell-bent on fucking itself. All right. Okay, so can you guys see this? Oh, it's a little bit small. Let me expand it. There we go. Should France's incel threat be treated like terrorism? Amid reports of an increase of masculinism, a belief in the supremacy of men, and the advocacy of outmoded gender roles among young men, it is the first time that French anti-terror authorities have launched an investigation into someone for activities linked to the involuntary celibate movement. It's not a movement. It's just men who can't get laid. Oh, maybe we need to teach the incels that it's a patriarchal construct that they're ultimately responsible for. Therefore, they should just be happy for being disenfranchised. Okay. Well, there you go, folks. What can I say? All right. So, thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this, actually, let me just double check and make sure we don't have any super chows in the hopes that you guys sent one. Nope. And I haven't seen any more super chats or on either channel. So thank you for joining us. I hope this was educational. Apparently, if you're a short king, you're responsible for the fact that women don't want to date you. But don't blame the women because they are subject to patriarchal standards. And it's interesting, just to put an aside for that, it's interesting how women are predominantly the ones who are enforcing the height thing. Like it's them that are far more interested in a tall partner than men are interested in a short partner. So they're predominantly the ones enforcing this. But somehow, despite it being something that women are enforcing predominantly, it's patriarchy. Even though women could stop it at any point, it's men's fault. And this happens a lot, I've noticed. But anyway, I want to put that out. And also, apparently, it's men's fault if women cheat. Well, who saw that? You know, I'm sure nobody on this channel is surprised by that. So, yeah. Is there anything women are responsible for? Hey, Chorizo, tell me something that women are responsible for. Right? Chris Minzo, tell me one thing that women are responsible for in this entire world. And tell me how that isn't identical to how the Victorians blamed men, the husband, for his wife's actions. Okay, that was a traditional gender role. In fact, it's one of the most traditional gender roles to just blame men for women's actions, like women have no any sort of individual drive or sense of self or decision-making capability. Okay. All right. So thank you for your kind attention. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, put a comment, tell me what you think. If you enjoyed this content, sorry again for the technical difficulties. Thank you for sticking with them. And have a very good evening. Did I miss anything, Brian?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.